What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Arias in the Nation. And listen, today I have an awesome guest on the channel, my good buddy Chris from sicembuster, or CB as he's labeled right here in front of everyone. Yeah, just kind of stepped right into that. But yeah, guys, it's good. Hey, Chris, thank you for making some time out of your busy day
Nah,
to come on
man,
the podcast.
I appreciate it, bro. It's good to catch up. People might not even know that we go way back,
Oh
so
my
it's
God, yeah.
it's cool to be able to reconnect on the in this
Oh,
forum.
of course, it's wild how the paths led us back here. From
Yeah,
like guys, we used to play backyard football
yeah,
together. Not
uh,
soccer, not football,
right.
American football.
In our
And
teens, man, like our
yeah,
teenage years, like
dude,
golly,
insanely a long time ago.
my hamstrings were in such a different state back then, man.
Yeah, yeah. No, it was so different. It was so different then. I mean, it doesn't seem like that long ago because I can just pull up those memories and have them not be faded, right?
Right,
And then you're like, when was that? And then I realized the memory is on a Polaroid. I'm like, what?
dude.
What?
Nah,
That's when the Razor cell phone and the what was it, Sidekick, all that kind of crazy shit was happening out here, man.
dude, it's blowing my mind that like the music that I grew up with is now the same age as my parents' music was when I was like,
Yes.
it's actually blowing my mind. I'm like, golly, like this is crazy.
Like remember like Bowling for Soup,
Right. Yeah.
right? Their whole music catalog can legally drink. Like it's older than 21 years old. I'm like, no way.
Yeah.
Those
How
songs aren't supposed
crazy
to
is that?
age.
No, dude, because to us, like they don't.
Yeah.
Like we're,
Yeah.
um, I still, for the most part, listen to all the same stuff
Yeah.
from those formative years. Like it just is what it is.
And it doesn't get old. And something's weird about it. And that's why I think on this channel we've dove down music and we've chosen music as that avenue to go on the channel. And it's so interesting seeing all like the fans of these different bands. It's a
Mhm.
very we don't I don't think we have a specific genre on the channel, right? I think it's all over the place.
Right.
But it's so interesting to see the fan bases and say, oh man, this band was started like 20 years ago. And I'm like, man, that's absolutely crazy. And like, when you listen to these nostalgic, I started my music journey looking at or reacting to live, what is it, the live versions of classic rock songs.
Word.
Because yeah,
Yeah.
before, like YouTube wasn't a thing when we were growing up. And so, like, to be honest, we were before it,
How
right?
crazy is that? Like
Yeah.
we saw the very genesis of YouTube, man. We're old as
It's
shit.
crazy, dude. It's absolutely nuts. It's beyond entertaining, man. But
Yeah.
so I was like, I've never seen these bands live. And so that's a whole different thing. And I go back and watch like Deep Purple, which is apparently more than like Smoke on the Water now that I,
Mhm.
I respect. And and everyone in the comment section is like, dude, I remember this growing up, riding in the wagons, or whatever they used back then. And I'm like, man, it's so cool to be able to have this platform to basically relive moments that are so important as far as like a fan base, like going to a gig, going to a show, seeing your
Yeah.
favorite music, your favorite bands. It's like that is a solidified forever moment.
Music
And
has that way with people, man. It's nuts.
yeah, no man. And guys, if you guys don't know Chris, listen, he's part of an awesome band called sicembuster. All right. Make sure you go check them out. I have the links before I forget because I do trail off at times and I'm not very streamlined here. So the links are in the description of the video. And if you hit the more part of the video, it will pop down. I swear to God, it's there. It's been there for years. No one looks at it, but there is a description of the video, and all of your links will be in there. And he is part of an awesome podcast as well. If you want to talk any more of that, like
Yeah. Um, it's cool, man. The We Are Something Else podcast, me, my boy Kaleo, and my brother E Rich, every Thursday. We've got something going on, and then the last Thursday of every month, we're joined with by a few of our other homies, regular old guy Ricardo, our money bags, and Be Easy, for our sneakers only podcast,
That's
Soul Tales.
right.
So
That's
um,
right.
yeah, so all that stuff we got going on, man. It's a lot of fun.
It definitely is, man. Like I tune in as much as I can when I can, man.
We
I do
appreciate you,
love it. I
brother.
do love like the chemistry all of you guys have. Like it's very watchable, man. Which it's kind of ridiculous to say about a podcast, but that's very important
Yeah.
to be
Oh yeah.
watchable.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
it's funny because we bridge that gap right between just straight up audio and video,
yeah,
like we're both, like when you're a podcast. So it's one thing to be able to put on something that people want to listen to all the time, but also for people to want to be able to tune in and actually see your face, that's something too.
yeah, for sure, man. It's hard, like because I'm thinking of going more so that route, eventually.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know what my topic is, or if it's just going to be topical, which is leave it vague,
Yeah.
and we'll see where that goes. And but it's hard to re- repeat that every time, and,
Hmm.
and and it's like if you're not uploading every day, it gets I don't know how to say it. What I'm trying to say is like if you're not on top of it,
Hmm.
it fades.
Oh, sure.
And that's the hardest thing is like constantly be on top of everything, and that's just I've lived a very long life so far being unplugged from all
Yeah.
of it, and I was like, man, if I were to do that, I would have to like turn on the TV. I was like, no, I don't want to do that. So we'll see how that goes, man.
Yeah.
um Dude, there's this question I've been dying to ask you, man, and for a
Hmm.
long, long, long time since I knew you were in a band. Like the last time, let's see. Well, the last time I saw you, it was at the Empire, which is no
Hmm.
longer a
Rest in
venue.
peace. Yeah,
It
rest in
was.
peace to that.
I remember I saw you guys, and the other band that stood out from that night was Burn the Ballroom,
Word.
right? I think it was that same night. I'm not sure. So, um, with that being said, how am I going to get at this where I can ask this question? It's a big question. I feel like, how do you balance new music band while, because you do have a 9 to 5 job,
Hmm.
you do have your career in an alternate field that isn't music as
Yeah.
well. So how do you balance that? Because that is something that's like it's I it's tough because you have to almost go all in on one or the other. And so finding that balance is very important because it's
Hmm.
not just you finding the balance. Being in a band is multiple people that
Right.
all have to find that balance too.
Yeah. Yeah. Nah, man, that's a dope ass question. Thank you for asking. Like, um, it really requires a lot of just planning and dedication and really just communication. We From the band standpoint, me and Anshu have been in a band together since we were in college. And so it was one of those things where we graduate college and everyone from right then and there is going in different paths, right?
Yeah.
That's one of the first points in our lives. Like originally going to college is one of those points where we kind of break off, and then post college is like a next one, right? And
Hmm.
so some of the guys that were in that band at the time were like, hey, it's time for me to go and do this other thing. Life is lifing. I got to go and pursue this dream. Cool. So me and Anshu decided, hey, we're still, living in the same area. We still have this passion. We want to be able to have, this outlet, this creative outlet that the band provides. So from there, we just kept it going. And it definitely is different when we were in, say, like our late teens and younger 20s than it
Yeah.
is now being like in our 30s. Like we know that the dream of, say, like we grew up with Warped Tour, right?
Hmm.
Like the dream for
God,
us
yeah, yeah.
back in the day would have been like touring Warped Tour, doing something like that. Like that was for the style of music that we played, that would have been like the shit. That would have just been
That would have
it,
been the
right?
Everest. Like,
Right. It would have been
like,
so cool because that's like a platform where so many of our favorite bands played. And to like share that platform is something that's really, really cool in music. Like to be able to say that we've played on a stage where some of our favorite acts have also played is something that's really, really cool. Um, but I mean, nowadays it really just requires everybody being on the same page because we're in different stages of our lives, right? And so just it requires a lot of communication, a lot of just honesty, and just making sure that um, you're being mindful of
yeah,
of your other bandmates, because the way that you end up making the best product is everybody's in it like to the same degree.
yeah. You don't want to have like spiteful feelings towards this band
Oh
that's
yeah.
eating away. You don't want to feel like that. You need it to be an outlet, a creative outlet, to be, let's say, a safe space away from all the bullshit.
Right.
To be in that, to at least cultivate a healthy creative space.
Hmm.
Um,
Exactly.
so now let's say the songwriting duties. Do you split that up amongst the band, or you just be like, hey man, here's my pen, it's gold, let's do this? Is it, or do you take, how does that work in the hierarchy of songwriting, the song creating process?
Nah, man. That's a dope question. I don't know how other bands do it, but we have always been incredibly collaborative. So,
Awesome.
we don't have one strict formula that we follow where it's like, even though I'm, the lead singer and everything, where I'm writing everything. Just because Anshu and Joe are the guitarists, it's not just always their musical ideas. Like we're really collaborative, and a lot of times our creative process just involves someone having a core idea and us being able to latch onto that, see a similar vision, and
Hmm.
then we just kind of work through it. There have been songs in the past where, say, Anshu already had this idea already fleshed out. He already had like an idea for the chorus or the idea for a verse that led us down a specific direction with the song. There have been songs where I have written everything as far as the lyrics go. I
Hmm.
already had a full idea before we had music, and then we wrote music to it. So
Wow.
we've some of the more recent songs that we've put out, Joe had this idea for a riff, and we're like, okay, we have to do something with this. So it's one of those things that it's really collaborative. We get on these writing sessions. We get in these writing sessions where it's really everybody has the same voice, and if somebody feels that we can improve in one aspect of the song, whether it's musically, whether it's lyrically, whether it's stylistically within a
Hmm.
song, because you can be running the gamut of having something that's really electronic, and then it goes to something that's like
Yeah.
acoustic sounding almost, and then you're back into like a metal mosh pit. Like being able to navigate all of those different like energies and feelings, it requires a collaborative effort from everybody, and at least that's how we approach everything. So
I
it's a lot of fun, man.
I
It's so
would
much fun.
I would have to assume every time you get ready to like release a song, it's already been agreed upon by everyone. Like you're
Oh
like,
yeah.
yeah, it's a, like you said, it's a collaborative effort,
Oh,
100%.
for sure. I mean, and it's one of those things where there probably are other bands out there that they have just this, maybe this locked in process where it's like super quick to put music out. We're not like that. Sick and Buster has never really put out songs in any kind of quick turnaround. Like
Hmm.
we're more likely to record a scratch version to predate then to do and re-record everything in a more final version,
Hmm.
and then send that off to get mastered, potentially get someone to, because we don't have a drummer at the moment, like have one of our drummer friends that we know actually live record the drums. Like there's a lot of moving pieces when it comes to us actually putting music
Yeah.
out in a lot of in a lot of ways. So like it's very calculated, like from our
Cool.
standpoint at least. Like we want to know where we're going to be able to tell people to find the songs. Like, do you have to go to YouTube? Can you go to, you know, your Spotify and your Apple Music? Can you go everywhere? Like,
Yeah.
we all want to be on the same page, and it definitely is a band decision in terms of what we're going to be releasing. Everybody's on the same page as far as all that goes.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, I feel like it's how do I was watching some of your videos today, you know, some of your songs. And it's like
Hmm.
how I love that you can't put your band in a box. It's like one of the songs is a lot heavier than the recent one.
Hmm.
And I'm like, it's still all dope. And I love that. It's just like you can see, you can hear like the not necessarily the age, but it's like you guys are gone through it.
Oh yeah.
and,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
but that's I feel like that's a sign of a healthy musical out, like a sign of a healthy band is the capacity to change and not break. Because if your music doesn't age, you're going to be, you know, listen, I'm not going to badmouth Blink ever, you know, but I couldn't imagine them coming out with the same shit they did when they just got big. It
Sure.
wouldn't work. Even though you could say it's ish similar in their ridiculousness, but they have some serious bangers. That was
Yeah.
probably a very bad analogy, but uh yeah, no, sorry. I told you that was gonna throw me off. Damn it. But
You're good,
I
bro.
feel like it's like I said, it's healthy to hear the change over time. Like where you guys came from and where you guys are going, and knowing that at any moment you could always dive back into one of those past songs and, like, I guess pull that sound to a new song. It's like you haven't left it in the dust completely.
Oh yeah. Ultimately, it's always just about being true to yourself. And with us, we've always known that the type of music that we like to make is not necessarily the type of music that would make us famous, or the
Yeah.
type of music that would end up with the, like, you know, the music contract and the world tour that, like, you know, a different style of music might actually result in. When you're doing this kind of stuff, like, it's because that's what you fucking love. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like that's what you enjoy. And that's like the outlet that you're, you know, you're
Like
you're you're
you,
choosing to do, right? So
yeah. Yeah.
like, and the thing is you're going to go through these periods of change, right? So it would make sense. I love going, like, I'm one of those people, man, that I listen to my own stuff all the time. Like, I love listening to my own band's
Yeah.
music. I love listening to, like, my own, like, podcasts and stuff like that. I love my own material, right? I love listening to the homies. Like, that shit is
Yeah.
cool. It's cool to see the progression, because there is a different type of, like, necessary, like, the DNA is always the same, but you can just hear, like, a quality difference in the music that we were putting out when we were, say, 20 years old, compared to the stuff that we can do now with all of the, you know, years of knowledge that we've gained. Like, we know stuff about mixing technology and recording techniques that we didn't know about 15 years ago. So just like the natural growth and progression of those things, like, it would be it would be disappointing if people didn't hear some kind of difference. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Very true. Very true. Like you have all the time in. Like, don't you see it? Like, nah, it's the same. Like, what?
Yeah, yeah,
F you. F
yeah.
you. You know, but no, that's it's kind of, I want to use it as kind of like a segue into this. Um, for a lot of our audience, they are living abroad, like
Mhm.
as in not necessarily in the US. And I wanted to touch on this because you are a musician in the Maryland area. That everyone knows, it's no secret. I live in Maryland, hence the fucking shit everywhere. Um and yeah, how could you explain, let's say, the the average like musician life. Like for me as an outsider looking in,
Mm-hmm.
I felt like our music scene was very cutthroat, very very clicky, very um I don't know, very elitist. I would put it there, but not in the metal scene.
Sure.
Everywhere else but the metal scene. It's like the metal scene was complete opposite. The metal scene was like everyone's family. We're in this shit together. But everywhere else I felt like was a little bit, it meant to stifle you. And I feel like that's what Maryland does. We're very close to DC and
Mm-hmm.
we churn out little politicians and little lawyers and lawmakers all across the board. So it like stifles that creative outlet for most. Like there aren't too many, I would say aren't too many creatives slaying it full time from Maryland.
We're in a really interesting pocket, man, because the DMV itself, like if you were just to include the DMV, um, which doesn't include Baltimore,
Yep.
to be clear, like because Baltimore is its own, and we can even look at you know music from Baltimore, and that there's because the DMV itself is so transient, and you have people from all over that come here a lot of times because of the government and the political side of things and jobs related to that stuff. Like there's so many different influences. Like it's really cool. Like
Mhm.
there isn't there's not a lot of people that like know what go-go is, you know what I
Yeah.
mean, but that is a intrinsically inherent music to like DC and
Yeah.
to our area, right? Like there's other pockets of the country where there's a specific style of music that's very near and dear to their hearts and everything, and people don't necessarily know that about our area. And because of where we live, like we've had access to a lot of crazy things. A lot of there's stuff that's hip hop related. We got stuff that's blues and jazz
Yeah.
heavy. When we're talking about DC and some of the history that we have, when we talk about Maryland, I mean, between it just where we live, like where
Mhm.
we live, being out like towards Frederick, there's like a metal scene out that way. You can then make your way all the way up towards Baltimore, and you have everything from small time acts to big major national acts that come through that
Yeah.
city, so and share the same stage. So it's a cool spot to be in. I think that where we live, it might be unique compared to what other people in other areas of the world might be accustomed to, because we're in a spot where a lot of people don't necessarily stay.
No.
So to be able to pick up a fan base here and to be able to like consistently say tour or travel here actually means something, because if you pay attention, there are a lot of big time acts that don't come through our area specifically. Like
Not at
they'll
all.
skip straight from Philly all the way down, and they'll just show up in like Charlotte or
Yeah,
something
it
like that.
goes like New York, maybe a New Jersey,
Hmm.
and then just Raleigh, Charlotte, and it just like what happened to us?
Dude, so many times I remember being in like my late teens, early 20s, when for most people, once you get into your teens, those are your formative years, right? Those are
Yep.
when you're going to be most impressed on when it comes to these things. And so I'm looking at when my favorite bands are going to be coming through. And there were many times where I'm like, yo, they're not even touring here. Like,
Yeah.
what? And that hurt. Like, it's one of those things where you want to be like, as just like the human level of it, being able to go to a show and experience that is that those are core memories, bro.
Yeah. Dude, doing this deep dive into a lot of symphonic metal stuff like that. That's where my path has taken me.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that comes through Silver Spring, dude.
Hmm.
A lot of these bands that I've had on the channel are touring right in the Fillmore.
Yeah.
Boom. I'm like, get out of here. Get out of here. Like, cause
Um,
that's
our
the weirdest sight
boy,
at all.
our boy Anoop, who you may or may not have like run through some of his stuff yet. Like
Mhm.
this dude is kind of like a freaking metal legend in the area. He's a
Yeah,
drummer. Him and his wife are like super freaking talented. They're incredible. But he like ends up drumming in some of these bands that like tour nationally, and he helped produce one of the at least one of the joints that we did over the last couple of years. And so like when we talk about our area and metal and like some of that like symphonic rock all the way up to like some of the gent like kind of crazy stuff, like
yeah.
it's interesting how deep it actually goes around this area.
It's crazy because in our little DMV area, we have bands like let's say OAR all
Sure.
the way to
Yep.
War.
Yeah.
Like what?
Yeah.
Like it's we have a broad spectrum of freaking bands and
Yep.
genres here. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, no, it's very hectic. Trying to get a foothold in this area for sure. And like you said, it's very transient because not a lot of people stay for too long. And also trying to, I would say, start a band is a very difficult thing. There's a lot of going on. There's a lot going on, and because think about this, you're in your 20s, your
Mm-hmm.
teens. Let's say you're about to go to college, or just let's say got you're in college in the area. Well, guess what? You're there for what, 4 years max, and then you're probably back out. And there's no way you're living in this area and affording this area right out of college, unless you
Right.
have an awesome job.
Yeah.
And that's just for
And
you,
not
not
when we were
necessarily
coming
your
out of school, bro.
bands. Yeah. No, no, no,
I
no,
mean,
not at all.
maybe we don't want to give people too much information, but like the financial crisis,
Oh,
most recently, like that was us coming out of college. So,
yeah.
it
Yeah.
was, yeah, we were given a degree and a dream, you know?
Yeah. I was like, hey, there you go. There you go. I was like, wait, so I'm like, what do I do with this?
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. Thank you so much for paying us. Here you go.
Yes. Right. Yeah.
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 At least I made money. You won't, but my establishment did, and that's
And
all that
as
matters.
soon as you get a job, we will be checking in and see if you want to like send us
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
donations.
Exactly. Exactly. Or that's when your student loans start. And you're like, but wait,
Yep.
what if I continue to be a student? Like, yeah, okay, just continue to be a perpetual student
Yeah. Right.
until you
Right.
get your like double doctorate. Um, but what dude, it's something very this is what I was gonna say. The makeup of a band and booking and stuff like that for, let's say, I'm talking about Maryland, DC, actually
Hmm.
probably in the US. When you have this work balance, band balance going, the time for, let's say, the band, it has to eat away. Like the real life, I'm not I hate saying real life, because what I do right here is not, to me, is still not real life. Like it eats away at time dedicated to the band. You only get your chunks of time off you're going to spend with your family, because you don't
Hmm.
get time off. You don't get too much time off. You're not going to get the 4 months or whatever it is, from across the pond, or like a month solid in a big ass chunk. You're going to get
Yeah.
little bits here and there that you're going to choose to spend with your family and loved ones, not necessarily in the studio. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Hmm.
And I feel like that plays a massive part in the role of trying to I guess come out of this craziness with some sort of sanity.
I mean, it definitely is a balancing act, and it's different. Like it's different now, like where we're at now compared to what it was like 15, 16 years ago when we were, young and full of hope and
Yeah.
a dream. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
it's
That
like
that stench. You like walking like, oh, you smell like hope.
yeah.
Let me
No,
just
because back then, before you like start kind of just doing the general grind of life where you're working on like a career and all that, it's like, hey, you actually have like this little pocket of time where it's more socially acceptable to be young and to take risks.
Yeah.
And so the outlook when we were, coming out of college or right in college in the band and everything was different than what it is now. And the amount of time that we could dedicate to it is different than what it is now. But also with that said, the technology and everything has made it so um we don't even necessarily need to be in the same room, right? And we can
Yeah.
have a full on writing session. We can still do band practice to a degree, even though we're not physically in the same room. That's something that like the pandemic actually brought
Yeah.
on. We knew before that we didn't really ever have to like plan around something like that. But it just requires a lot of communication. Everyone has at this point in our lives a different schedule. Everyone's got a full-time job. Some people have families. Like we've got different considerations that we have to keep in mind
Yeah.
compared to when we were 21 years old and we didn't really have too much going on.
Yeah.
It was a lot easier to be like, hey, nah, we're literally gonna write for 3 days in a row. We're just gonna get together 3 straight days in a row, end up writing 4 songs, and then we can start recording. We can't do that nowadays.
No.
You know what I mean?
No. Yeah. You have to piece it. You have to piece it.
Exactly.
Um,
Exactly.
but okay, so what about the have you guys uh, this YouTube platform, stuff like this?
hmm
I feel like it's such a massive aid because before you would have to like work your ass off just to get either noticed or have eyes on you.
hmm
Whereas now you can just upload it to YouTube and it could pop.
Yeah.
Anything at any moment could pop.
You
And I
never know
feel
the algorithm.
you never know, man. It is a salty beast of an algorithm.
That's facts.
Yeah. Yeah. You guys anyway. Maybe I'll talk to you about that off air. You guys need to like do some crazy ridiculous video as a band. Like pop balloons on their tire. Because listen, man, I went to go check how to change a battery out on a watch. And I'm like looking, I'm like trying to follow along. And then because I'm on this side of things, I look at the view count and I'm like 32 million fucking views. And I'm like, get out of here.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I am done. Like, I am just done.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, it's great, but at the same time, if you dive a little bit deeper, it's just deflating. But
That's the thing about social media, bro. Like it's everybody has access to it, or almost everybody
yeah,
has access to it.
yeah. But so what do we have to look forward to, man? As far as sicembuster, do you have any? Are there any stirrings going on behind the scenes?
Yeah. It's one of the things that it's even though we have not played a live show in a long time, predating the pandemic. It's been since we've played a live show. And that hasn't stopped us from writing and recording and putting out new music. So we are actively recording something. We're currently working on something that we think a lot of people are gonna get a kick out of, and then we have a another. It's kind of like we work on one thing, we already kind of have an idea of what the next thing is that we're going to be
Yeah,
working on. So it's kind of in that transition
I
period.
gotcha. I
So
gotcha.
yeah,
Okay.
we definitely got some stuff coming out, and it's always like it never stops. It never
Yeah.
stops.
No, because especially since you schedule it out like that, since all of you guys are now adults, functioning adults. Before it's like you just wing it and hope for the best. Now it's like you guys have schedules and charts and stuff that you follow. You
And the
know,
landscape is like so much different now, bro. Like when we were coming up, like the idea of this doesn't exist anymore. People don't go to Best Buy
no,
on Tuesdays to pick up CDs because it's New Music Tuesday or whatever. Like
yeah,
that doesn't happen. The idea of having to actually put an album out is not even really necessary given the access that everyone has. You can literally just be putting out singles or these EPs, these short these shorter, smaller bodies of work, like that is more than acceptable these
Yeah.
days. And so that's one of those things that like you'll notice in our catalog, for example, like we started off with an EP because that was the way to like just get
Yep.
some content out, let people know that me and Anshu are still making music. Here's what we're going to be sounding like. This is the direction. And then you see like we did put like more of a full length out, but then like the landscape has just kind of changed. You don't even need to
Yeah.
do that. So all of our projects since have been like, 2 songs, 4 songs. And that just makes it a little bit easier because we can kind of um
You can.
it makes it easier to like focus on, because we all know what we're going to be releasing. We're
Yeah.
working on the same song. This is what we're going to be releasing. And that idea of all of us being in sync and being in the the loop about what's going on, it's all just built in.
Well, I feel like it's a lot more feasible to be like, listen, guys, we have to get our schedules to align for just 4 songs rather
Mhm.
than we got to finish this album,
And
and that's
and
more
everyone's creative
palatable.
process is so different. Like
Yeah.
there are bands out there that they can just get in a room, and I think some of it might be dictated by the style of music and things
Yeah.
like that. um like everything's a little bit different. Like it's not exactly the same playing field, but at least our process is not that quick. So we'll be like, okay, we will do, a 2 hour writing session here. We'll do a 2 hour writing session there. We'll get to a point where we feel like we have the music and at least like a chorus or something down that we feel
Hmm.
comfortable with. And then we'll start actually laying down some tracks. Because what's cool now is as adults, and one of the benefits of say Anshu being a baller in his industry is this
Hmm.
dude like makes a decent amount of money and he can afford cool recording shit. So that means that
Man,
when we
yeah.
want to record, we can just go to his house, and we don't need to coordinate with another producer necessarily to get like our basic idea down. There might be, some involvement in terms of like finishing everything up, but in terms of just being able to like get in the studio whenever we want and record on our own time frame, we can do that now. And it's not something that we would have been able to do to the same degree 15 years ago.
Oh yeah, no, it's the land, like you said, like you keep saying, the landscape. It's so different now. It's like definitely catered to like a quick release type.
Sure.
Like, hey, let's do it. Definitely a lot of work to build up, but then once you get out, there's definitely your outlets
Hmm.
for it. You can do that yourself. Like where are you going to release it? You
Hmm.
have the Spotify's, the YouTubes, the Rumbles, the
Yep.
whatever, however you want to release it. There's so many different ways, and it's kind of cool because before it was just like, damn, you got to put all that legwork in yourself. You got to be selling your soul on the corner, dude,
Yeah.
slinging CDs. I was talking to my wife and I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna buy this person's CD, and she's like, we don't have a CD player. I'm like, fuck, you're right. We don't have one in the house. I don't have one in the house. I'm like, well, what am I gonna like?
Right.
It's crazy. I never thought in my life there would be a time where like CDs, those compact discs that
Yep.
everyone was raving about. Yeah, I don't even need one now.
No. Nope.
Nuts.
Thing of the past.
Yeah. Yeah, but and honestly, for the record, the anti-skip button never worked. That little switch yeah, never effing worked. I don't care how expensive your CD player was, your little Walkman.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. Go
Oh,
jogging with that and have fun.
yeah, just the same song in little sections. Just fucking no. But yeah, man, no, listen, I appreciate your time just hopping on just on the channel. It's been a long time coming. Guys, for those of you that are still with us, make sure you check out his Chris's links for sicembuster. They are in the description of the video, as well as go over and check out the We Are Something Else podcast. Those links are also in the description of the video. All right. But yeah, man, again, we'll do this anytime, man. Look, same thing I tell everyone that we rock with on the channel. You have the keys. Anytime you want, just pop in, man.
Appreciate that, bro. Like
Yeah,
all
man.
it's fun, man. It's like, It's like since we were kids, man. We just pick it up. It's like riding a bike.
Yeah. Pretty much. I was like, oh my God, he's on YouTube. I was like, oh, I've been on YouTube once or twice. Let's do this.
Yeah.
So, but I hope if anything, our little talk has answered some questions about how the music scene and stuff works over here. It's so different. It's vastly different than what is out there or what is globally like known across the pond. Like this is how it works over here. Like not over here. Not over here. You know. But Chris, thank you so much again for taking your time.
Appreciate you, bro. Yeah,
man.
It's been fun, man, and definitely look forward to doing it again.
Yeah, man. All right. Well, everyone, make sure you unplug and do something legendary. And I will see you all in the next one. And again, later, Chris. And we'll see you all later. Bye, guys.